Hey everyone, I'm Scott Stokely and I'm here with Luke and Derek, my
Hello,
cohorts, my secret
agent men.
smugglers in my illegal arms operation
Are we
that
mules?
I'm what?
Are we Austin Turner?
Are we mules?
Are we Austin
You
Turner?
guys are yes, you guys are no, I'm no when I met Adriana and she asked what I did, I said, "Oh, I actually do really, really well. I traveled around the country teaching disc golf." And her exact words, she said, "That's fine. You don't have to tell me what you do." And then when I told her, that hey, actually I do pretty well, she assumed I was like an arms dealer or something like that.
Should
I
just
mean,
led the should just led the lie on. And
oh, I
yeah, I just
did.
I just played disc golf tournaments on the weekends, but I saw Kalishnikovs during my
Well, I
The-
mean, the term professional disc golfer for many years, you would put the quotes around the word
right.
professional.
Yeah, it's to be like, oh, so you're unemployed?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, they go hand in hand.
Yeah, right.
Well, that's that.
Self-employed.
Well, part of the problem is when I was younger, I had been taught by the generation before me that being unemployed was a bad thing.
Right.
Like the best thing you can do is work for 40 years and get your 401k, and then when you turn 65 retire and enjoy the next like 18 months. I don't know.
Yeah.
Like, and now it's like, no, like how do you get out of doing that, like,
Yeah. I mean,
I don't know.
to be realistic, nowadays it's like you might not get to retire, so just work until you die.
Oh yeah, by the way, if you're a younger viewer, you're never going to retire, you're never going to be wealthy, you're going to work until you're 90.
So do what you love.
Sorry, not sorry.
I mean, hey, I watch tons of economics videos and the forecast, like it's pretty much gloom and doom.
Yeah.
Like I haven't read, like, I mean, reputable economics channels. I watch a bunch of them, things like Economics Explained and How Money Works. And, they're great channels. There's not one of them that's like, just hang in there for 6 more years. It's about to get good.
Yeah, everything's like get out while you still can. Get out, run, and don't look back.
Dude, there was a time when if you got married, only one of you had to work, and and by the way, a regular job, not like only one of you had to work if you were an attorney.
Right.
Like within my lifetime, like one person worked at a
Like a
union
factory
job, and you
job
could
was
support a
a-
family of 4 kids, 2 parents. You would own your own home, paid off in like 5 years. Like
Yeah,
that
I know.
that happened in my lifetime.
It's I mean, I always hear some of the older generation be like, it's not that hard. I did it. And it's
Well, it's
like,
like factory jobs used to be being like set up forever.
well, yeah, and their house costs $5,000 and
Right.
now it's worth 2.1 million.
Yes.
So
Yes.
there's that.
Well,
But
I mean, a
anyways.
lot of this too, what I've read is that you have the largest generation of children, the baby boomers, right? With the largest generation of children in the history of the human race. And basically, the voting power of this group is always going to vote for what's in your best interest, fundamentally. And like, you can't criticize them. Every group votes what's in their best interest. So they're not
Right.
doing anything wrong by voting what's in their best interest. But it turns out what's in the best interest of this generation that is now retirement age isn't necessarily in everyone's best interest, right? I mean, and again, I'm not faulting them for it. Everybody does what's in their best interest. They're no better or worse than anybody else, but our future has been leveraged.
Oh yeah. One of my favorite sayings is nobody's out to get you. They're just in it for themselves.
Everybody is.
Yeah.
Oh, I think what I think the number one goal should be, if you're a young person now looking at a career and you have options, like once you actually get a family and a mortgage and kids, your options dwindle because maybe you're kind of roped into like this commitment that you've made. But if you have options, the single number one thing you can do career wise
SoundCloud
is
rapper.
put yourself in a position where you are not dependent on the government, and it doesn't matter which party's in power, you're fine. Like,
Right.
don't put yourself in a position like, oh my God, if that person gets elected, I'm screwed. Or I need this person to get elected to save my job. Like, that is a very vulnerable position. So like, the more you can be independent from that, then the more when these things happen, it's just a reality show. It doesn't actually
Pretty
like
good, then.
affect you.
I'm doing pretty solid. Then.
I don't pay attention to politics, so I put myself right in that position where I don't care who wins.
Yeah, I care because I'm like I like watching the politics, kind of like a reality show, but it doesn't affect my life.
Right.
Who
Yeah.
wins. And so I get to watch it like it's more like a television show, but it's like, yeah, I mean, like, look, you got a kid in elementary school. There's some crazy stuff happening right now that you may be concerned about. That's a real thing. But if you don't, then it just becomes a television show.
Right. Speaking of politics, with you being over in Europe, have you been paying attention to like European politics at all?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't pay attention to American politics, so I have no idea what's going on
I
across
have
the pond, but
every single country I go to, I am fascinated by what people think of America. And, like, look, you can't, I mean, well, first off, you can't trust the American media, what they tell you people think, because half of the media says that everybody in the world wants to come to America and America's number one at everything and everybody wants to be American. And the other half of the media says everybody in the world thinks we're imperialistic, evil, people who are building, basing and influence politics, and we're the devil. And everyone hates us.
Yeah.
But you hear, that's the two sides you basically hear, right? And the reality is it's, well, obviously it's in the middle somewhere. But I ask, and I don't ask people what they think. I ask, what's the general consensus? Like, what do people generally think? And I was surprised because, and I won't get all political here or anything like that, but it's like there are, like, look, there are places in America, in this world, where the biggest fear is that America leaves.
Right.
Like you go to Southeast Asia and there's stuff in the South China Sea, and there's a lot of people who are like, I am damn happy America has an influence here because we're scared of things that might happen in our area. That's a real thing. But then, of course, you go over to places, and there's a lot of places in Europe where it's like, it's not that they hate America, but they're just laughing at us right now. They're just like, this is a reality show it's like, this can't possibly be happening. This stuff that's happening. So it's more like they don't want to be in America. They're like, yeah, we're kind of happy here. We got things going really good over here right now. And it's not like we all want to be in America the way our parents did. So it's like, it's both.
Sounds like we need to show them 12 megatons of freedom. I'm just
kidding. I think so too.
I do. I think I like how America still thinks of itself as the old, like, post World War II propaganda, where it's like, come to the land of milk and honey, where every woman, man, and child gets a gold bar. Like, we still have that like mentality to ourselves. I like it. I mean, I like big egos.
So one of the greatest lines from South Park was I forget the exact line, but I think it was Stan says to a kid from another country, he's like the kid says, people hate America, and Stan says, wait, what do you mean people hate America? Why would people hate America? And the response was, the reason people hate America is because you don't understand why people hate America.
That's true.
But it's not a hatred. It's not a hatred. It's an absolute mix, and it's just politics. It depends where you are. There's plenty of places out there that are very, very happy that America has a strong military influence. That's an absolute fact. There are places that are like, thank you for being here, because now we can trade freely on the seas because your Navy has allowed this to happen. Thank you for allowing us to build economic freedom, because before you protected the seas, we couldn't ship our goods and services and trade and build an economy. There's a lot of people that are incredibly grateful to America. It's just not all rah, 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 America's number one at everything. At the same time, they're like here, I'll give you an example. I've heard this on more than one occasion. And by the way, this is the last time. I'm not even going to comment after this because I don't want to go political. But they're like, how is it possible that the number one, and by the way, I've heard this multiple people. How is it possible that the number one story on your news is about people's pronouns and the number two story is about the mass shooting? They're like,
Oh, well, mass shootings are old hat now.
I'm going to, in the words of the great Theo Von, I'm going to move onward.
yeah, I know we're going to move on. I'm just saying, but that is a question that people in Europe are like, huh? This doesn't make any sense. So anyways, yeah, it's mixed. But I'm fascinated by it because it's very interesting to know what people think, for sure.
Well, I'm sure people also want to know how you've been feeling. You've been dealing with a little bit of illness lately. See that segue? I'm getting way better at
Yes.
this.
By the way, you notice I didn't take a side. I'm not taking sides. I'm not.
No, it's fine. Yeah, no.
I'm just telling you what I hear. I'm just reporting the news. I'm just a reporter. Don't shoot the messenger.
We're Switzerland in this.
So I'm Switzerland. I'm the
I
Switzerland
have
of
family
disc
members
golf.
over there, so I get to claim that.
I'm the Switzerland of disc golf, except I've never been on time, so that kind of defeats that. So I'm not sure. I'm
That's
the
funny.
Liechtenstein of disc golf. No, my health is good. I woke up yesterday morning with no fever for the first time in 9 days. I spent 2 or 3 days. I say it's 2 days. Adriana remembers 3, where I was basically back and forth between cold sweats and then waking and then shivering uncontrollable in like a 30-minute cycle for like 2 or 3 days straight. It was absolutely horrific. It was an infection that spread to my bloodstream, which apparently is serious. And then I started getting better and feeling better. I could get around, I could drive, I could function, I could go walk around a course. But I had a fever for like 6 days after that wouldn't break. I could take like a bunch of Tylenol and then like it would kind of put the fever down for a couple hours. But if I didn't take Tylenol every 4 hours, it would come back and then I'd be like hallucinating again. It was ugly. It sucked. I woke up yesterday morning and it was the first morning I woke up. Normally when I wake up, because I haven't taken any Tylenol for like 6 or 7 hours, I wake up with a fever.
Right.
I woke up yesterday morning and actually felt good, and I'm so happy. So still on antibiotics, but I think I beat this thing. I told the doctor when I was in the hospital, he says this thing has spread to your bloodstream. This is very serious. And I said, no, it's not. I'm indestructible. That's what I told him. And then they put me on antibiotics anyways.
Yeah, he's like, you keep saying that word, but I don't think you know what it means.
I don't think that word means what you think it means. No, I'm indestructible. I'm still here. Therefore, I was not destructed.
There you go.
As he walks out of the room and says, such an American.
Yeah. Well, with your downtime, I'm sure you were able to catch some coverage of various disc golf tournaments.
I have been. I was mainly, I watched the Preserve some. I mainly was watching the Krokol tournament, the Krokol Open in Norway, which is the one I dropped out of, and then I watched the Swedish Open this past weekend.
Yes,
and,
which we watched. Washed up Paul Macbeth take another one down.
Oh,
I've never said. I love how you
I was
look at
just
me
looking at
directly
you
in my eyes when you say that.
Just
Like,
staring a
I
hole
have
through
ever
you.
said Paul Macbeth is washed up. I've never said that, and I want every listener that is listening, watching, or otherwise to understand. I do not think Paul Macbeth is washed up.
It's gonna be my new thing where I just like insinuate you've said horrible things just by staring at you.
Then
while
I'm
I make
just gonna
reference.
stare at Travis every time Ricky Wysocki wins another championship.
I mean, he's just been waiting on that, hasn't he? Paul's gonna come over and win another one.
We'll see about that.
I'll tell you what.
About that.
The match, like the courses out here. First off, the courses are so unbelievable out here.
Oh, I agree with that.
Same.
God.
The 2 or 3 Euro Tour events that they've, broadcasted live. I'm like, wow, these are some killer courses, even though they're not the longest, but they're some of the most beautiful I think we've ever seen.
They're beautiful, but they're hard.
Yeah.
That course in Oslo, like I'm telling you, like I played the day I got sick the day before and I wasn't feeling good the day before, and that night was when it hit me. But the day before, I was looking at that course and I was thinking, if I can shoot under par all 3 rounds, I had a good tournament.
Right.
And then if I can shoot 5 under each round, I'm lead card. But under par was like 1010, like solid golf. 14 of the holes, if you miss your putt, you could roll to the bottom of the hill. Like every hole had a death putt. And then like if there wasn't distance, there was OB, and the OB was exactly where it needed to be for like, it didn't take a bad shot to throw OB. If you throw a mediocre shot, you were out of bounds. You needed a good shot to be inbounds and then a great shot for birdie. But being inbounds required a great shot. Like most of those holes, like they weren't, you couldn't just play for par. Like if you played for par, you might still throw out of bounds, which I personally really like. I don't want a free par. I think it should be easier to play for par if you're playing for par, but like it shouldn't be a gimme. You should still have to execute a shot and hit an approach. No, the thing about the Scandinavia, or just I should say Nordic, because Finland is not Scandinavia, about these Nordic courses is the terrain is just flawless.
So good. It's so good.
If you had been playing disc golf for 3 months and then you came up here to Scandinavia and were given a piece of land, you could design a course that would be a borderline championship level course, just because how do you not?
Yeah.
You got this cross-country ski trail or this thing cut in the woods, and there's an opening to the left. So you put the basket to the left where the opening is. And it's just a great hole. You know, it's a fairway. And if you missed a fairway, you're going over a cliff
hey, we're no Scandinavia, but I'd say Northern Michigan has some pretty amazingly beautiful hidden courses up here.
It's probably most similar to this. It's probably most similar to like a lot of the Michigan state parks.
Yeah, very wooded, tight lined, got a shot shape, be precise. Disc speed is a big thing here in Northern Michigan. Like you can't just go out to a lot of courses and throw as hard as you want. Like you got to make sure you're choosing correct disc speed, not overjuicing it, things like that. And that's a lot of the things that I've liked watching on the Euro Tour, is like those decisions play a massive factor in who becomes the winner at the end of the weekend.
Yeah, you have to hit your shots and you can't screw around. You know, there's no, like, okay, Bradley Williams, who actually won the tournament in Crocole. The thing that I'll never forget that he said to me was, we were playing a practice round at Northwoods Black. I think I've told you guys this before, but we were playing a practice round at Northwoods Black. And he said, the thing I like about Northwoods Black is that on every single hole, if you get a par, you still get that dopamine hit.
Right. Yeah.
Like you still get the satisfaction of like, I dodged a bullet. And that's the way the courses are. But the thing about Crocole is like, I mean, look, if I was playing doubles with Paul, I would be thinking like 14 down, because you got two people throwing a 300, it's a shot that's right. The basket's right there. One of us is going to birdie it. Like, I would expect to shred in doubles.
Right.
But then we could both shoot 3 under in singles, and that's also can happen.
Right.
Because singles, it's a whole different game.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it even shows in, I didn't catch the name of the course that they were playing for the Swedish Open, nor could I probably pronounce it, but it was it was a shorter course, which
it wasn't long. It's not par 62 and not super long.
Yeah, but it had
shortest course on the Euro Tour this year.
Yeah, it had enough teeth that nobody on the lead card was without blemish. All of them took at least one bogey, if not more.
Yeah, no, and what's important is the shots are good.
Yeah,
they're fair, they're creative, they're interesting. If you mess up, you're gonna bogey. Like if you when you're playing, you guys know, if you play in the woods and you hit an early tree, unless you get a favorable kick, you're bogeying.
Accurate.
Yeah.
And you get a bad kick, you're definitely bogeying.
That is the type of disc golf we play here in Northern Michigan.
That's what I
early,
like that.
And
we're going to add one more layer to this that's different than the courses a lot of courses in the U.S. is from what I've seen so far, it seems like the amount of care and love and effort that's gone into these courses is also a different level.
Yeah.
There's a lot of work that goes in, like the putting green in Borås, at the Swedish Open. The putting green, the whole thing was astroturfed on this rolling hill, and I felt like I should take my shoes off to play because there was no leaves, no dirt. It was just this beautiful. I don't know. It's just these little amenities that make it feel like you're a professional athlete who's getting to play a professional course. It's just these little details,
Right.
that just stand out. Like throughout the course, there's bleachers, lots of different holes. Like there's bleachers in a good spot where someone can sit and just watch disc golf. But it's there for this tournament. Yeah, it's great.
That's
And then
awesome.
Paul shot the course record the final round in kind of ugly conditions. It was cold and wet.
Yeah, and
That's
even
Paul being Paul.
that even his round wasn't, wasn't by far like even a perfect round. He took kicks, but the thing with Paul is Nicholas Antilla wasn't shooting the greatest round either, so he was seizing that opportunity and really pulling away with it, and still only won by 2 strokes. I'm not saying that.
Well, they were tied
Nicholas
going to
shot
the
better.
last. They were tied going to the last hole, and this hole 18 on this course. If you watch the Swedish Open, it is the most difficult finish hole like I've ever seen. Like there is not a player in disc golf that could step up to that hole. It's a par 4, and could play that hole for par and just get a par.
Right.
Like it is quality golf to get a par because it's long, downhill, out of bounds, Mando on one side, trees on both sides. If you go into the woods and you're pitching out, you're not going to you're taking a bogey. Like you have to execute a really, really, really good 400-foot throw just to get into I got a good chance at a par here.
Sounds like 17 on Hickory.
And well, here's the thing too. The shot that Nicholas threw that I apparently went out of bounds. Everybody was clapping, so they didn't think it went out of bounds.
Yeah.
The drive that Nicholas threw, when he threw it, I look over at Adriana because we were walking around. As soon as he threw that, I looked at her. I said, I wouldn't have been able to throw that shot. Now, I'm not saying physically if I throw 10 shots, one of them doesn't fly there. But the shot that he stepped up and did, I just was mesmerized by it. And the fact that it went out of bounds, I couldn't believe it. Yeah, like there was a headwind. Like it was so good. Let me turn this thing that's beeping off.
Yeah. Oh, I thought it went off as soon as he got up for a second. I was like, well, that was unnecessary.
No.
Yeah.
So it's like I was just
17 on Hickory
mesmerized
is
by
like
it.
that.
And then
Like
Paul
OB
steps
both
up
sides.
Paul steps up and also
Like
throws the shot into the fairway.
Par 4.
Crazy. So that I watched them both and I was like, yeah, that like it's just one of those moments where I was like, yeah, that wasn't like, I don't care how healthy I wasn't beating him. Like I wasn't throwing those shots, not on that hole.
Now, have you had a chance to play the Beast, the site of the European Open this year?
No, but I can't wait. There's going to be like 10,000 person gallery.
Oh, it's going to be massive. Are you playing the PCS Open as well?
I'm playing the PCS. I'm playing Skellefteå, PCS, the Beast, Åland, then the course in Estonia. Sick. And the nice thing about the European Open was I qualified for it with my podium finish at the first Euro Tour event, which is really neat because I'm pretty sure I would get an invite to play, or they would make some kind of sponsor exemption or something. But to be able to go play that tournament because I qualified for it feels really good. But here's the funny thing. I was the 4th highest rated player at the Pro Forester, the one where I finished 3rd. Mm-hmm. I was the 7th highest rated player at Crocol. So I was the 7th seed. Like I was I'm still in contention.
Right.
With my rating at the European Open, I think I'm the 85th seed.
Dang.
There's like 85. I could be wrong, but I think there's like 84 players ahead of my 1,014 rating. Like, maybe I'm wrong about this, but it's like I think it's something like that, or maybe that was my rating before. It doesn't matter. There's 85 players over 1,000 rated, but whatever it is,
cut off on the leader.
I'm nowhere near the top of this thing. Like I'm down I'm down in the pack somewhere. That's how much competition's there. I think it's 85 players over 1,000 rated, and I'm 1,014, so I'm probably the 35th seed or something. But still,
Right. We haven't heard too many like talks about who's going to Europe. We've heard of some players who aren't.
Oh
Like
my God,
Simon.
everybody's going to be there. It looks like a regular DGPT tournament.
Simon Lizotte, surprisingly, is not going to
He's
be making
not.
the trip.
He's not, but he's one of the rare ones. Most of them are most of the
Super
players
rare.
are going.
I mean,
Well, I know that Kona and Colton Montgomery dropped out.
Yep.
They're not
Did
going
they?
over. Yeah.
Oh, bummer.
Just recently. I don't
she's
know the
been
reason.
dealing
She's
with
been dealing with some health issues.
all
So.
year long. She had some weird thyroid thing, I think, to my understanding, which kept her out at the very beginning of the year, but she's kind of been fighting back and forth with health issues since then. So
Gotcha. No, the list of players at that tournament, when you look at it, it looks like Des Moines or the DDO.
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
It's a who's who of everybody.
What I wish you would have played it because like or wish that you would have played it in the past because after seeing these courses that are on the Euro Tour now, I almost feel like the Beast is more of an open course. Even though it still has shot shaping and all that kind of stuff. It still has some teeth, but if you look at, even the course for
I'd
the
say
Swedish Open
PCS
compared
is
to
a
the
little bit
Beast,
tighter.
yeah, it's like, wow, like this is a course where people can really attack more than you could in the woods, definitely.
Yeah, it's gonna be a trip. By the way, the recent stats on Finland: 20% of people in Finland disc golf.
Heck yeah.
20%, and the number one activity, according to the most recent polls, of kids when they get out of school in the afternoons is disc golf. I think it's 55% of kids. Their number one after school activity is disc golf.
That's actually
55%. It's
So,
ridiculous.
That's insane.
Yeah, how do I immigrate over there? Because
it's kind of hard. The tournament all in Island, that is an island. If I'm not mistaken, there's 30 disc golf courses on this little island.
oh yeah, is that disc golf park?
Yeah, the island is a disc golf island.
Well, no, like the disc golf park, like the Discmania owned course
Oh
design.
no,
Isn't it between
no.
Denmark and Sweden? I think it's somewhere like it's like on an island in between those.
Yeah, I don't know.
In between two countries there.
Okay, well, this island is between Sweden and Finland.
Yeah,
it's
that
Holland
one.
Island.
That's
one. Probably it then.
Yeah, that's probably it.
Yeah, because I remember this was probably a couple of years ago. Disc Golf Park was advertising that they were building a whole bunch of courses on this island. It was a disc golf island. I didn't know if that was the one that you were referring to.
Yeah,
I think crazy.
So. Well, I'm actually working with the project now with a Finnish company. We're going to be, well, I say we. They are putting a facility in on the island of Lombok, building the first disc golf course. You can read about it if you go to Indonesia Disc Golf Facebook page. I'm now connected to them, and we'll be participating in this project as well. I'm in their WhatsApp chat group and all whatever involvement that makes me. But I'm going to be doing what I can to help them establish a disc golf resort in Indonesia, because Finland is also cold for 9 months out of the year.
Right. Yeah.
Oh, by the way, speaking of that, check this out. I'm doing 8 clinics in Finland after Åland before Estonia. I'm basically starting in Turku, but then going to Helsinki and heading north and doing clinic. Just basically straight north. And at the end of the clinics, then I'm going to drive all the way back to Helsinki to go to Estonia for the next Euro Tour event. But the furthest north clinic at the end of my clinic run is north of the Arctic Circle.
Really?
That's pretty cool.
Yes, it's going to be actually, it's about 1 hour south of where the trees stop. So an hour north of where my clinic's going to be is tundra all the way to the North Pole or ice. Yeah, how cool is that? I'm going to be like north of the Arctic Circle disc golfing. It's so bizarre and cool.
Now you got to get down to Antarctica and go teach down there, and then you can Scott Stokely in all 7 continents.
I've looked into Antarctica. There's a course down there, and I've looked into it, and I absolutely plan on going to Antarctica. But right now, the course is on a military base, and there is no tourism in Antarctica. So you cannot just book a flight and go to Antarctica to visit. You have to be part of the military or a research scientist or part of the business supporting the research scientists. So I've looked into it, and I will for sure disc golf in Antarctica the minute I'm able to.
Just say like you're researching the effects of disc golf on penguins.
Yeah, actually, you want to hear the funny thing about? I've been doing all my research. I've researched into disc golf Antarctica, so I'm terrified of flying. I've been very outspoken to this. Not really terrified of flying. I'm just afraid of heights. But planes scare me, right? So here's the coolest thing about the flight to Antarctica. So basically, the way it works is you get on a plane to fly to Antarctica, and they're constantly checking the weather because the weather is very unpredictable down there. It can go from nice weather to a storm within like a very short amount of time. And for economic reasons, you can only bring so much fuel. So they basically bring like 10% more fuel or 20% more fuel than they need to get to Antarctica. So what that means is that once you pass just past the halfway point, like once you're like 55% of the way there, they have to make a decision, which is based on the weather, do I continue or do we turn back? Because you get to a point like 55% of the way there where once you've committed to going, you no longer have enough fuel to get back. You're committed.
Right.
And they have to do this because you burn fuel. The heavier the plane is, the heavier the plane, the more fuel you burn, which means you need to carry more fuel, and it's more expensive to carry more fuel. So they have to, they have to project this and only have so much fuel. So this is the way it works. Well, the storms come in so quickly that you could get 55% of the way to Antarctica. You're past the point of no return. They commit to going. There's no turning back. And then you still have like 4 hours flight. And in that 4 hours, the storm can come from nowhere, and you could basically be flying into a hurricane. And there's no choice. The plane's committed to going. And this is so dangerous. I swear to God, you can Google this. Go look up the charter planes that go to Antarctica. They advertise. The number one charter plane to Antarctica advertises that 70% of planes that take off make it. Now they don't all crash, but that's how often they get halfway there and they're like, nope, things change, turn around. And then some of them do crash. They advertise 70% success rate.
Some of them do crash. Some of them just don't ever be found again.
Yeah, so I'm terrified of going, but there's no way that I wouldn't do it because
I want to see what their slogan is. It's like Antarctic Airlines, 3 out of 4 ain't bad.
3 out of 4 ain't bad. It's on their homepage. 70% of our flights that take off make it to Antarctica.
70% of the time, it works every time.
Yes, exactly. Anyways, I'm definitely going there for sure. I'm going to play in Antarctica. Of course. Why? Like, that's crazy. Why wouldn't I? I'm going to do a clinic down there for all the Antarctic science nerds.
And then you got to do one on an active volcano. From one extreme to another.
Oh my God. Well, I've done one in I did a clinic in the caldera of a volcano. A dormant volcano, not extinct. Mount Gambier in Australia. The caldera actually has a gorgeous disc golf course in the caldera. Like you're sitting there and you're looking around 360 degrees are the sides of the volcano. You're in the volcano.
Oh, nice.
Oh, it's beautiful though. And it might not erupt.
We might be all right. I mean, 70% of the time it never erupts. So
70% of the time it never erupts. No, I'm all like, look, I'm all into the disc golf adventure. Like there's nothing I don't want to do as far as weird disc golf experiences if I can help it.
Well, let's go back to our discussion on European disc golf real quick.
Yes.
So you've had a chance to play, for the Disc Golf Pro Tour here in the States and the Euro Tour over there, and you've had a chance to watch both products as well.
Yes.
Now, in my opinion, and a lot of people's opinion, the European product on live, as far as like production, as their booth and their trophy presentation and their trophies,
Production value, just
production
overall.
value, yeah, is much better than actually what's going on over here, as far as like you see during the preserve and DDO. I wanted to get your opinion on that. Is Europe doing it better?
I wouldn't say they're doing it better. I think, first off, the coverage and the commentary in Europe is absolutely fantastic.
It's amazing.
But I'm also a fan of the commentary in the US. I think there's a middle ground, because the Europe is very much, this is the shot, this is the putt, it went in, that's a birdie.
Mhm.
And now a lot of people like that because they're not bantering and chatting. I think you can have some of that. I think there's a middle ground that I think there could be, because I think obviously it depends on what you like. If you like the banter, you like the US. If you hate the banter, you like the Europe. But I think I think it could be in the middle, to be honest. That, by the way, just my opinion. It doesn't mean anything.
Right.
But there could be a little bit of, anecdotes and stories and some joking, without taking away from the fact that it's very, they do such a great job, but they do a good job.
Well,
it's certainly, people like it. I know that the response has been great.
Yeah, well, the commentary is what it is on both sides, but I was talking about as the product they present. So like
Oh,
you compare the looks of the commentary booth in Europe to the looks of the commentary booth in the United States, and Europe's is amazing. And it looks like a much more professionally done product in that sense. And then you go to, I don't know if you got a chance to see the trophy that was presented to Paul at the Swedish Open, but
yeah.
it's
Oh,
like,
yeah.
it's a legit, like, nice trophy.
Right.
And then you go to some of these tournaments over here in the States. I'm not going to knock the preserve. You raise the bear, but it is, at the end of the day,
You get to
a
sign
carved
it.
wooden bear.
Yeah.
Like,
But your initials are ingrained on it
Yeah,
forever.
granted, but as far as the look,
it's not the Stanley Cup. What do you mean?
but as far as the professional
You ain't winning either,
look of the
Travis. So stay in
product,
your lane.
do
I
you
know.
think that Europe has a leg up over the United States?
I wouldn't say a leg up, but I wouldn't say they have a leg down. I would say that they're just different. There's going to be, like, personality wise, there's a whole different, Scandinavia and the Nordic countries have an entire, like, it's a different culture of people. It's sometimes harder to recognize because it's all, like, it's white people, to put it bluntly,
Right.
on both sides of the pond. But that doesn't make this color of our skin doesn't make the cultures identical. Sweden and Finland and Norway and Estonia are just, it is a different culture, and so it's going to be presented differently. It just is. And so I don't know, if I wouldn't say better or worse. I would say it's different. But one of the nice things about this is that we have, like, when you have different products, I would hate to homogenize everything into one look and one feel, because you have if you have a slightly different product, then people can kind of choose which ones they like. The World Wrestling Federation, World Wrestling Entertainment was far better when WCW was around.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Hands down. The minute they went under one banner, it was like tick-tock, clock's ticking. It was nice when there were two different products.
And then you still had ECW in there for all the hardcore fans.
Yeah, but no one
Variety
actually
is the
watched
spice
it.
of
Nobody watched it, and nobody was a fan of ECW until they were out of business.
Yeah, right. Until
And then and then all of a sudden they're like,
came out.
"Oh, I know all these people. I listened to shoot interviews," and it's like, you weren't watching it. If you did, they'd still be here.
Oh, I love Tommy Dreamer.
Exactly. No, so I think that's what it is. I think having several different products, like, I would hate for them to be identical, but I do like them being under one banner. So here's one of the things that I think is interesting. Because there's two different tours over here in Europe. There's the European Pro Tour and the PDJ Euro Tour. Those are two separate tours.
Right.
The PDJ Euro Tour is the ones that you're seeing on most of the coverage. But the European Pro Tour is a fantastic tour with quality events, quality courses, quality sponsorship. Like they do a great job too. And people talk about, wow, wouldn't it be great if they merged, because they have conflicting events on conflicting dates.
Mm-hmm.
And on the surface, like I'm, as a diehard free market capitalist, my feeling is no, they shouldn't merge. The competition's good. There are two different products, right? They're competing against each other. That's better for everybody. Let them battle let them fight each other to see who can get the best players, because that means that's better for everybody. Well, the same thing can be said for like the European Tour and the Disc Golf Pro Tour, which is the Disc Golf Pro Tour kind of bringing the European tournaments under the umbrella. On the surface, that's my same gut response, which is no, that's not a good thing. We want competition. Like that's a positive thing. Let the European tournaments battle against the U.S. tournament to put together a better tour and compete with the U.S. And then that's better for everybody. That's the way the free market works. So all of that is philosophically how I would feel. The difference in this particular case is I know Jeff Spring.
Right.
I know Pat Govang. I know the people involved in the Disc Golf Pro Tour, and I know that they're amazing. And I know how much they love disc golf, and I know how good they are for the sport. So all of my hypothetical, in theory, ideas about how good competition is absolutely wiped off the table by I want the Disc Golf Pro Tour to be in charge of everything, but that's only because I know the people involved and I know how great they are. So I'm a fan of it going under one umbrella, and being one big tour with different little brands and segments. What I hope they're able to do, though, is allow them to keep their personalities. Like I would love for the European Tour to have a different personality than the U.S. Tour, because Europeans have a different personality than Americans. Like they shouldn't be homogenized. So I love the idea of putting it under an umbrella, but I hope they keep their personalities. That was probably a way longer explanation than it needed to be. But I like give people a choice. Just because they're under one umbrella, which is a good thing in my opinion, I like the idea of different commentary, different sets, different trophies, different courses.
Yeah, I agree. I understand that. So I'm a consumer. I don't know Jeff Spring. I don't know any of those guys. I just consume the product, just like everyone else. There's also that sense that I take pride in the American tour because I am an American, right? It's what I started off watching. It's like I could realistically, I mean, I don't know if we've been to Deglo. Like it's accessible to me. So when I watch these and then I watch the European coverage, I want what the European coverage has because I think it looks so much better than what the American tour is presenting.
Oh, you can borrow things that work. I mean, if something works, then definitely, that's one of the things the free market does is you have these independent organizations doing things maybe a little differently. No, I don't think I think they should all evolve from each other and copy what works and throw away what doesn't. I think it's going to be a lot of fun.
And that's why I was wondering, because I think that Europe is doing it better. So
Okay.
I want that for the American tour, and I'm wondering, I was wondering how you felt about it as far as just how the product was presented.
Yeah,
because we all want the sport to be presented in a professional manner, because
the way it's presented
as
a player on the field, I have a hard time telling the difference between Europe and the US. Every course is like immaculate. Every caddy book is great. Every out of bounds line is well marked. The courses are closed. There's plenty of parking. There's spotters. There's staff members that know what they're doing. There's amenities. There's tents. There's driving ranges, putting fields. There's like the last facility had like a massage tent. There's a player cafe just for players. you're not treated better in the U.S. than in Europe. You're not treated better in Europe. I mean, in both cases, you're treated like a professional athlete who is the red carpet's been rolled out for you. I mean, the way we're
Right.
treated it, but it's not any better in Europe. It's as good as. At least so far. I mean, I've been to 4 events, but I don't
Yeah.
think it's going to change.
Dang it.
I mean, everybody wants to be what they are. Everybody wants to be the best, and they're all crushing.
Right.
You know, they're all crushing. And I haven't played the European Pro Tour, but to my understanding, they do just as good as the PDGA Euro Tour.
Yeah, they also present a pretty good product. I sprung for Disc Golf Stream, which is where you can catch the Euro Tour, and their product is pretty good. I mean, obviously there could be some upgrades. They need more cameras so that they're not just switching to a leaderboard in between while the
Yeah.
players are walking down, stuff like that. But
It's going to evolve.
yeah, for what they have, the product's
thing
really
keeps
good.
beeping at me. I don't know what's going on with this thing.
Pizza rolls are done.
There we go. No, the refrigerator. I don't
Those
know
boys
how
are
this
steaming.
RV works. Anytime you put electronics and then like buttons to hit, that's when I turn into a 70-year-old. I do. Things just beep, and I'm like, Adriana, it's beeping.
What do I do?
No, it's exactly what I do. Like, I'm like the old man who, like, when I get like a message on my phone, I just get scared. No, Europe is crushing. You know, I'm going to be here for a while. I mean, I'm almost certainly going to be back next year. I don't know what my plans are, but the European Tour, there's so many experiences out here that are new. I hope that more players from the U.S. come out here and get to experience this. Not because it's like some second tier thing. This isn't like the European NBA or something where you're coming over here because you know, this is not the Canadian Football League of disc golf. No offense, Canada, but it's not a second tier minor league thing. It's the Pro Tour. It's the Pro Tour in the other part of the world where disc golf is crushing. And it's not a worse experience. It's an incredible experience, but it's also a new experience. So I hope more players come out. I mean, Paul and I are here now. Bradley is here. Gilbert's here.
Yeah, I saw that. I was like, hey, he made the trip out. He's all over the place, though.
Clay Edwards.
Yeah,
qualified for
coverage,
USDGC. He shot like 1,035 or 1,040 or something for the tournament. He played amazing, and now he qualified for USDGC and the European Championships.
You know who played?
And every single week, more players are showing up. But it's like, it's a dream come true out here. It's like, I hope people come. I hope people do. And by the way, if you're a spectator and you want to take like a 3-week vacation and you're going to do a 3-week disc golf vacation, consider coming out here as well. It just has everything.
Yeah, for sure. So let me, I just thought of something. So let's kind of travel back to the humble beginnings of disc golf media when there was the Disc Golf World Tour, which was well ahead of its time. I think the infrastructure wasn't there to have something that was to be put on such a grand scale like that back then. But with all these tours going on, we got the European Tour. By the way, there's disc golf in Spain, there's disc golf in Indonesia, there's disc golf in Asia, all these different, communities now. Is it time that we bring the Disc Golf World Tour back and have a dedicated, legit world tour? I mean, you can still have the DGPT and all them, but 6-7 world tour events.
I mean, isn't that what the DGPT is? Just under that name?
I would disagree because so far they've only been in the United States and
no,
Europe,
but I mean, as they're hopefully they're expanding into Europe, and yeah, I mean, it seems like that's the same thing under a different name. Once, I think we lost me. Oh no, it says Luke and Derek. I see them on the screen still, so I'll just I'll keep talking and hopefully they come back. So it sounds like, oh, you did come back. Hello
Yeah.
again.
Yeah, we're there. We're there.
No, I mean, it seems like it's that under a different name. I mean, the Disc Golf Pro Tour is whatever they're doing, and I don't know exactly what they're doing, but it sure seems like they're just expanding their reach over here, along with Disc Golf Network, and like the whole package is basically doing that. I mean, if you designate World Tour events, they can't really operate outside the DGPT because like those are the big tournaments. Like no one's going to want to be on a tour outside of those because it would be on weekends that conflicted with DGPT tournaments. So I'm not sure how you would get around that. Like I don't know. I think
I think you probably still could. With the DGPT acquiring the national tour, basically every national tour event was taken off of the schedule except for maybe Beaver State Fling. So there's those events that still have tradition and uh what's the word, prestige behind them that we don't get to see anymore. So you could choose one of those from the United States, and if the infrastructure was there to make like the prize money worth going for, you could have players going to like, oh, I'm gonna play. I'm trying to think of what was a national tour. One of those, I can't think of it off the top of my head. But then you're like, oh, and then I'm gonna go play the Australian Open, which we haven't seen in a number of years, and make it where it's an actual like globe trotting event, not 12, 13,
okay.
14 weekends out
So
of the
here's
year,
what
but
needs to happen. This is really simple. The Saudi Arabia royalty needs to contact me,
live disc golf.
and we'll put together a disc golf tour to compete with the PDJ and the Disc Golf Pro Tour. So if you're listening, Saudi Arabia, reach out to me.
Then you're gonna sign a bunch of people, make a bunch of people real angry, and then
they'll
merge
and
6 months later.
and then all of that drama was for nothing.
Yeah, that sounds good to me.
Yeah, that
Cool.
works.
Cool. I like
But
it.
I'm
You
just
know.
saying,
Controversy.
I would really like to see something like that. I mean, I like that we're getting to see Europe. I'm not putting down Europe at all. But also, like, I remember, Australian Open used to be a major, and there was only like 4 guys from the United States that could
Yeah, I mean
make it.
that's the thing. I get the idea. It's like it was a little bit premature because it's kind of like, oh, we're trying to be like tennis or something. Like okay, that's fine, but like it's Saudi. Like there's 4 tournaments in California that were probably bigger than the tournament in Australia.
Right, that's fair.
So I like I would say that if a country, if a tournament stepped up, like for instance the Japan Open maybe is the closest contender.
Another one.
If the Japan Open stepped up and but get yourself under the Disc Golf Pro Tour umbrella, because right now you're running a tournament in the summer. You're asking competitive players not to go compete at the tournament, the tour event. It's kind of hard to do. I mean, that's a really big ask. I mean, you would need a lot of money to get people over there, and I hate the solution being money. I don't know that the Disc Golf Pro Tour is open to other countries outside of Scandinavia and the U.S., but I don't see why they wouldn't be if there was a qualified event. Like, hey, wow, we could have an event in Asia. I mean, why wouldn't they want to include that on their portfolio and their resume if there was you know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
so I think if any of these countries want to work within the system, like work within the Pro Tour. Again, the thing is what's the Disc Golf Pro Tour is it's an organization of really quality people who have the best interest of disc golf is at the forefront. They're a business, they're trying to make money, but they're not exploiting our sport. They're growing our sport. And so I think if people like embrace what they do, like I'm totally on board, and I'm the most, I hate authority. I'm a diehard libertarian. If I was a political, like that's not my personality, but I know those people at the Disc Golf Pro Tour, and I support everything they do to this point. So that would be the step to make a global tour. Is just, I mean, who's to say the Disc Golf Pro Tour can't just name 6 global events as a separate point series of their tour too, and just say, well, these 6 events are in 4 different continents,
Right.
and they're designated just like the NT events were designated differently.
Mm-hmm.
But those are just names though. Like it's like what makes a major in ball golf? Like it's the exact same field at the Masters as that at every other PGA tournament.
Unless they were
But
qualified for, but that still ends up being the
yeah,
same
I
field
mean,
anymore.
but for the most part, it's the same tournament. Like the PDJ World Championships, is that different than the Des Moines Open? I mean, maybe a few more European players, but I mean, it's the same. It's the same people, same type of course. So a lot of it is arbitrary. So, but I like the idea. Why not? A global tour.
So if it could, and this is literally just me thinking off the top of my head, it actually could create an avenue to grow disc golf in the way that we want it to grow. Not necessarily by force, but like I think of like I'm a fan of skateboarding, right? And when I hear interviews with skateboarders, they're like, the first time I experienced skateboarding is when so and so team came and did a demo at so and so skate shop.
Mm-hmm.
That could very work in these countries where it's not as popular, but you can have an event and then people come out and maybe that's the first time that a kid experiences disc golf, and then that's the memory he has of it, and that's the thing he strives for is to be that. It could very well grow disc golf around the world at a much faster rate because we have
Absolutely.
this world tour.
Yeah. So basically, what you're saying is a prince from Saudi Arabia needs to message me on Facebook or Instagram.
Somebody at the Prince.
Cut me a check. First things first. Let's get. I hate money. Let's get the money part out of the way. Cut my check. Let me cash the check first, and then we'll talk about a competing tour. I got it now. Perfect. I like the way you think.
If they hit you up asking for your credit card number, don't give it to them, Scott.
If the Prince of Nigeria messages me, I will definitely float them the money until they get their money out of a savings account.
He's like, look, I have $2 billion for you. All you have to do is Western Union me $10,000
All you have to
in
do is
phone
go
cards.
get me 5 $100 Walmart gift cards.
Yeah.
Wait a second. Back up here. Wait, are you saying it's only going to cost me $1,000 to get $2 billion? I would be crazy to not do it.
Well, I'm not saying that.
But it has to be $100 Walmart gift cards.
Yes. It's so funny with my stupid glasses. When I get this far away, everything's blurry without my glasses. And then I move in like 6 inches and I got to put my glasses on. I'm such an old person.
So what do we got coming up this weekend?
I think PCS is the next one, right?
No, Skellefteå. That's the one up at latitude 64. I'm actually going out to dinner with the latitude people on Saturday night. They're taking me out to dinner. I've been friends with them for a long time. I haven't seen them in years. I'm such a huge fan of what Latitude has done. They're now, obviously partners and manufacturing Castoplast, who I'm working closely with. I got to spend time with Anders Shellstrom, the owner of Castoplast. Everything about it. Like this is a little town, Skellefteå, like near the Arctic Circle of Sweden, that Thomas Ekström, Svante Eriksson, and Jesper Lundmark all came from.
I was wondering. I was going to ask if Tomas was going to be there.
Yeah, I haven't talked. I've been messaging. I messaged him a couple times. Haven't heard back yet. I would assume so.
Designer extraordinaire.
Yeah, Tomas is great, and I'm going to be. I just talked to Svante this afternoon. I've always been the biggest fan of those guys, and just as people, but also as players. There was a time, back in the 90s, when all the best disc golfers came from the U.S., except there was always 1 or 2 players from Canada who were very good. There might be 1 player from Oceania, New Zealand, or Australia who would kind of pop in there now and then. But then it was Sweden. And there was always this core group of players, from Matt Spankston to Fredrik Granesen to Thomas to Svante to Jesper to Marcus to Anders. Like the list goes on. Linus now. They're always been so good.
UC Maresma from?
He's Finland.
Is he Finnish? Okay.
Yeah, he's Finnish. Well, and actually, Brigitte Lagerhorn is from Sweden. She's the first. She won the PDGA Women's World Championships.
Oh, heck yeah.
Brigitte. I always want to say Brigitte, but it's Brigitte. I'm so bad. Everything up here in Sweden is like spelled similar enough to make you mispronounce it. But anyway, she's a world champion. She's from Sweden. She's the first North American to win the Open or FPO Pro Worlds, I believe.
Sick.
So there's always been this contingent of great players from Sweden, but they all, three of them came from, like, maybe the three best players minus Linus. So say three of the four best players to ever come out of Sweden came from a town of 30, I think he said 30,000 people. Bizarre.
Heck yeah. So with how's it pronounced? Skellefteå?
Skellefteå.
Skellefteå. So basically what I was told is if I want to endear myself to the locals, they call it Skellefteå. And so if I call it Skellefteå, no one else calls it that. So they said that they would like me if I called it that.
Perfect.
So yeah.
So, I mean, with the Skellefteå Open happening this weekend,
Yes.
correct?
Yes.
It looks like all eyes are going to be on the Euro Tour.
Yeah.
Which means that our next episode is also going to be very Euro Tour centric.
Yes.
Yeah. It's going to be incredible up there. The first hole, if I'm not mistaken, is 300 and something meters long. Like it's over 1,000 feet long, and it's not downhill.
Nice.
Yeah, I know.
Right on.
Yeah, that's hole one. Welcome to Skellefteå.
Yeah.
Skellefteå.
Well, before we get out of here, how about you tell the people where you're going to be and where they can find you?
They can find me on scottstokely.net. That's where you can find my 6-month online Become a Complete Disc Golfer course.
Down there.
Down there.
It's down there.
That is the pinnacle of my disc golf teaching. It's what I'm most proud of. And then there's a documentary out called Not Just a Shot at notjustashot.com that happens to be about me. I had nothing to do with it, but it's about me. It's very good. Highly recommend you checking out. But then just check out the Euro Tour. I mean, it's quality. The players are great. The coverage is great. The courses are great. It's something new and exciting. It's not new, but if you haven't been watching it, it's something new and exciting to watch. I'm having the time of my life out here, except for the 9 days when I'm hallucinating with a fever. That part, that's less fun. Hey, I'll leave you guys with a funny story too.
Awesome.
It's not really funny, except it's hilarious, except it's not funny at all. So I'm hanging out with Hugo, which is my new friend, who's the wheelchair disc golfer I shot the round of wheelchair golf with.
Okay.
By the way, if you ever get a chance to hang out with someone with a physical disability, you have my word. You can give them shit and make jokes. They have a sense of humor. Every single one of them has a sense of humor. Other people get offended on their behalf. They have a sense of humor. So I tried so hard to keep a straight face when I did this. So anyways, I played with him on Thursday or Friday, but I came out on Sunday to watch the final round. And as soon as I got to the parking lot, there was just gobs of people around me. Like, people got into this line for me to sign discs. So I stood there for like an hour or two just signing discs, which is really fun. But he was sitting next to me. And so he's sitting next to me. He's in his wheelchair. He's got discs on his lap and a pen because he wanted me to sign a couple discs for him as well before I left. So he said, he's my friend. We're just hanging out, right? And so this line of people lining up, and a woman gets to the front of the line. She goes, "Oh, I think he was next." And she points at Hugo in his wheelchair. And I looked at her with a straight face and I said, "Oh no, I'm making him go last because he's in a wheelchair." And
I would
tried.
have paid money to see the look on her face.
Oh my god! I tried because the problem was is that me and Hugo both started laughing immediately, and I was like, "Darn it! Oh god! If we could have just played this straight, like if we had played it straight and he had like wheeled to the back of the line, this would have been the funniest thing to happen all weekend." But instead, we started laughing, and you know, we both ruined the joke. We tried
Blew the
though.
ruse. Blew the ruse.
I know there's certain jokes you gotta you have to keep a straight face for at least like 30 seconds to really make it hit home. But we weren't able to pull it off.
Yeah, that would be a tough one. That would be a tough one.
We tried though. We tried. Hugo's great, but we played a round. It's a video up on my YouTube channel of the round of golf we played together. All Disc Golf Center is they have 3 courses out there. They're family friendly course. By next year, the plan, it's a project, but their plan is to convert it or make the changes necessary to make it completely wheelchair accessible.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, and I think Hugo's going to consult on it. There's no time frame on this because these are big projects, but it is their intention that the theme is all is for everyone. So All Disc Golf Center is going to make sure that is not just a slogan, but actually true. There's a bunch of great guys out there that are running this facility. So it's really exciting, and I think I got to play with Hugo. Now, by the way, it was really funny too because I beat him, which is really important to me. I did. I told him it's on the video. I said, by the way, I wish you luck. Not so much luck that you beat me, but I wish you luck in keeping it close. I'm not gonna roll over for anybody. Like I'm like if we're on the disc golf course, I'm trying to beat you. I don't care who you are. So, but we had a pretty good match. He's good. He has good technique. He's very good evidence of you're in a wheelchair, you can still play and enjoy disc golf.
Heck yeah.
Nothing's stopping you. So anyways, yeah, shout out to Hugo. That was probably my best experience of the tournament.
Oh yeah, tune into this channel and you can watch Scott Stokely beat the disabled, and then come back next week and come check out Outside the Circle.
I'll come back next week and brag about it.
Sweet.
Sweet.
Look forward to it.
We'll see you, Scott.
Thanks you guys so much.
Have a good one, guys.
Thanks.